In this video, we're going to discuss about Java exceptions. So if you want to learn what exceptions are, why they're relevant, some exception types, and some hands-on examples, then stay with me in this video and you'll find out. So first of all, let's start with the basics. What are exceptions? In Java and in any JVM-based language, an exception is an event that may get triggered during the execution of that program. Those events are usually associated to bad situations. For example, if your program is reading some data from a file and suddenly that file gets deleted, then the JVM reacts to that external change by triggering an exception. Similarly, if your application runs out of memory, the JVM will signal that by triggering an out-of-memory error, for example, right? So those types of events are classified as exceptions, right? And whenever an exception gets triggered, the control flow gets directed to a programmer-defined location. In other words, the programmer are able to build some code that will be executed when the exception gets triggered. And as we'll see next, the programmer is either forced to do that or it has to do this proactively because otherwise the JVM will crash. But the whole point is that the JVM allows us to manage exceptions in a very easy way. One really important question here would be why they are important. Why do we need to know about exceptions? Well, the very first reason is that if they're not handled, the execution of the JVM terminates immediately. So in other words, your program crashes. And this may lead to a number of consequences. For example, some data loss, right? As an example, if you have a web application which crashes, all the traffic that goes into it will be rejected, right? So you have an immediate data loss. You also have some bad user experience, right? Because your users may not have the data fetched from the backend of your application in order to work with it in the UI. And also depending on your type of application, this may have financial impacts. Like if you're building a financial application and it crashes in the middle of a transfer, for example, then it may have some really bad impact. As you can imagine, the space for consequences here is infinite basically. And also those things can happen not necessarily if you're not handling the exception, but also if you're handling them badly, right? Because there are some best practices into how the exceptions should be handled. So if you're not following them, you may end up into those consequences as well. Now let's jump into a really important aspect that we should know, which is about the exception types. In Java library, we got the exceptions modeled as a hierarchy of classes. And it's really important to know how they actually connected to each other. Of course, we're not going to dive into each exception class because there are hundreds, but there's at the top of that hierarchy, there are some classes that we should be aware about. For example, the throwable class, which is the base class for all the exception. From the throwable class, there are two classes which derive directly. The first one is the error class, which is the base class for most of the errors that may be triggered in an application. For example, out of memory error. This exception will be triggered when our application consumes more memory than it has configured. And when this happens, the JVM will crash directly. And of course, that's just an example. We may have assertion error, we may have virtual machine error, and other error classes, right? On the other hand, the other class that derives directly from throwable is the exception class. And this is a base class for, again, a large number of exceptions, but one of them is really important, and that's called runtime exception, which again is a base class for a number of derived exceptions. Now, the reason I partition them in this way is because all the errors and all runtime exceptions are called unchecked exceptions, which means that the Java compiler does not force us to handle them during compile time. That's, let's say, one category of exceptions. They may be thrown at any moment in the execution depending on the logic and on the data that your program works with, but we're not forced to handle them during compile time. Now, on the other hand, the other exceptions which derive from the exception class directly are called checked exceptions, which means that we cannot build our application if we are not handling those exceptions, right? We know for sure that they are handled before the application starts the execution. Now, enough talking about those theoretical subjects. Let's see the code to play a bit with some exceptions and try to figure out how they actually work, right? Alright, so here we are in IntelliJ IDEA Community Edition. We got a sample project set up here. And we're going to create our very first simple exception. So let's say we got an array of 10 elements, an array of integers, right? And let's say we want to write data in a location which is not allocated in this array. Let's say on the location 50. Of course, this is not compliant to the semantics of the Java language and also with the semantics of any other language basically, because this location here is not allocated in that array of integers. So for that reason, the JVM has to signal the fact that you're trying to do something illegal, right? And it does that by throwing an exception. If you run the program, we're going to see that it throws this array index out of bounds exception, which is saying that index 50 is out of bounds for length 10. Now, as you can see, the JVM exited with code 1, which means that it did not exit gracefully. So there has been an error which caused the JVM to crash. And that error is basically the fact that we did not handle this exception, right? So what we're going to do now is to handle the exception. How can we do this? By using the try-catch construction. This is a very simple construction where we have a try block here where we place our code which can throw exceptions. And in the catch clause here, we had to place the actual exception in a way similar to a method parameter actually. And the semantics is that whenever this code is executed and it throws an exception, the control is moved into this catch block, right? So if we have multiple instructions here, right, and this code generates the exception, those instructions won't be executed anymore. And the code will jump right here and it starts executing whatever you put here, okay? And let's add a print line here by saying that the exception has been triggered, and we just print that exception. Okay, let's also print here the fact that the program finished. So now if we run the code, what we can see is that this print line has been executed. So the code entered on this catch block, as you can see here in the message on the console. Also, the program has finished, so it reached this final print line. But also, we can see that the exit code is 0 now, which means that the JVM exited gracefully, right? So it didn't crash, right? That's a very important distinction that we need to make here. And also, we have another clause here that we can use with the try-catch block, which is called the finally block. In the finally block, we can place any instruction that we want, which will be executed no matter if an exception has been caught or not. So let's say that we place here, the finally block was called. If we run this code, we can see that it reached the catch block, it executed this print line, but it also went into the finally print line, and it was also called, right? Now, if you take a look on this exception, we can see that it extends from index out of bounds exception, which extends from a runtime exception. So it is an unchecked exception. So now we're going to experiment with the checked exception. So let's go back to the code and let's try to read some data from a file. And we want to use a file reader class. This takes a file object as a constructor parameter, which takes a path in its constructor, file path. And as you can see here, we got a compile error, which says that we're not handling a file not found exception, which is simply thrown when the file is not found on the disk, right? And in order to compile the code, we need to handle this exception. And we have two options for that. The first one is to add the exception to the method signature, which basically adds this throws clause with the exception name in the method header. And the second one is to add a try-catch construction around this call, which is the exact same thing that we did previously. But this time, as you can see, the compiler is forcing us to catch that exception, right? And that's the actual meaning of a checked exception. And if we take a look on this file not found exception, we can see that it extends IO exception, which extends exception directly, right? So all the classes which extend from exception and they don't have runtime exception on that hierarchy path, they are called checked exceptions. We can also use this throws clause on any method signature that we want. For example, if we have our custom method and our method has a call which throws a checked exception, we can add this throws clause on the method signature as well. And when you're trying to call that method in another method, the exception will be propagated, right? So the compiler is not letting us to compile the code because we don't handle the exception. So basically this propagates the exception up until it gets handled, right? That's the whole idea. Alright, so that was a basic introduction in Java exception handling. Feel free to subscribe to this channel if you want more content like this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.